Welcome to this week's episode of Ask Simmo. Thanks to ECU continuing to bring the fans' question to the senior coach. Welcome, Simmo. Difficult week for all involved at the footy club.
Yeah, very poor week. Probably one of the worst.
Yep. I was there at the game. Look, just my footy eye, it didn't, you probably didn't need a footy eye, but the system and structure versus effort, determination, it's one of those games, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we need, when you're playing to start, you've got to start well. And we didn't start well out of the centre, and we got exposed in transition and work rate, and some of our senior players were down, and our younger players were probably the victim of that. So it didn't start well, it didn't end well.
Do you get some teaching points when you review it?
Well, we reviewed it today with the players. I don't know if you call it teaching points, but there's some lessons that we need to take away and fix really quickly. But yeah, I've said this before, the younger players that played on the weekend, at the end of their career, they're going to reflect back in this time and see it as a time of growth and a really difficult time, but they'll get through it, and every club does. It's just how long and when and who does it, all those sort of things. But once they get through it, they'll look back at this time as an experience that I think they probably appreciate. Moving forward,
how do you move forward from a game like that? It's clearly a disappointing game.
Really hard. Yeah, it's difficult to move on like you normally do, because there's a little bit of despair about it all. So you review it in a way that's pretty pragmatic and honest, and that's the way we want to play and it's the way we want to review. So that we'll stick to that process. Then there's got to be a point in time where you start looking forward. So when do we do that? Not a lot we can do at selection at the moment, so that's another challenge. So yeah, it's Monday today? So it's a Sunday game. So we've got a couple of days to regroup and then hit St Kilda as hard as we can.
Good. All right, let's get to the audience questions. Jimmy Fabes asks, with the tall back stocks depleted at the moment, what goes into determining whether the small defenders play tall or the taller forwards play down back?
Well, on the weekend, no excuse at all from the game, but we lost Barras for the first half. He had the concussion protocols twice, which is probably the first time that's happened.
Surprised he hasn't copped that during the week.
Well, it wasn't a second knock, so I think we're just making sure. And then we lost Jack Williams as well. So we had no tall forwards and no tall backs. So it was really difficult. I mean, we did play Oscar back against Adelaide, but yeah, the talls weren't really the issue, albeit they probably got a few easy goals in the air, but it was mainly the way the ball was moving. So that was the challenge. Secondary to getting a tall down there, it was more just try to stop the entries, which we couldn't.
Yep. James Handel asks, how did you assess Jack Petruccelli's move to defence, talking about the back line?
I think that's part of where we're heading. Just really difficult at the moment with those two injuries that we had. Just throws everything out of whack, so we didn't make a call on the sub in the first half, and getting Jack to play back, and then it's all a bit out of whack at the moment when you have those injuries, so we end up playing him on ball in the last quarter. So I think there's a future there, is what I'm trying to say. Just with the scoreboard and everything going on, it becomes another layer when you've got a new player playing in a different role. Trying to educate on the fly is difficult, so we need to look at it, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm. Anson Walker even. What will be the message for the playing group heading into Sunday's game against St Kilda?
I haven't worked that out yet. No, we're still working through the review piece, and then how do we respond as a club is really important, and no one can control that more than the players. So getting them to understand that responsibility and who's up for it is the first piece.
Okay. And Damien CC asked, Duggo plays his 150th on Sunday. Seems like such a good bloke off the field and tough player on it. How have you seen his journey at the footy club so far?
He's one of our players that play with real honesty, and you just know what you're going to get with him. So what you see in the media about Liam is exactly the same as you know him as a person. So the more Liam Duggins we can have, the better, in particular in these situations we're in. He's really standing up as a strong leader, so I'm sure we'll hopefully reward him with a good effort.
That's how you get the boys up. Play his highlight video. It'll be a good one. That's it for this week's edition of Ask Simmo. Thanks to ECU. Thank you to everyone who wrote in their questions, and for those continuing to support the footy club during this tough time. The boys host the Saints this Sunday afternoon. Simmo, good luck. Hoping for a quality response from the side.
Thanks, Guy. Cheers.